This is the last day for people in Newfoundland and Labrador to get their ballots in, to mail them in for the province's election, delayed by weeks by the pandemic. We know the results are going to come out on Saturday. The election put off last month because of a major COVID outbreak, which forced election officials to switch entirely to mail-in voting. Chris O'Neill-Yates has been on this story throughout with us. She's in St. John's this morning. So, Chris, are we looking, this is the longest campaign in history now. This is started out to be 28
Absolutely.
days, and now it's more than 10 weeks. This is crazy.
Heather, I think all people want is to see this come to an end and for there to be some calm and some stability. As you said, we've been talking about this. It'll be 10 weeks, 2.5 months from the time the writ was dropped back on the 15th of January until this coming Saturday, until we know the results. But people are expecting calm and a return to normalcy. But, there's been a lot of bumps along the way to getting here. It'll depend on the outcome on Saturday. If one or the other party gets a decisive victory and there are not too many margins or close elections, that might satisfy people, because the question now is whether some of this will be challenged. So if someone wins a decisive victory of one party or the other with a big majority and there are not too many tight races, we could be looking at a period of stability. But if we have some tight races and we're looking at a minority government, we could be looking at challenges as well to that. So everybody's hoping that when the results are released on Saturday, this is the end of this, but we don't really know until we see those numbers.
Saturday, 12 noon local time, and people with bated breath. But we've talked about this so often, Chris. I mean, there were questions of Andrew Furey from the very beginning about calling an election in this pandemic time. What is the latest thinking about how it's gone, the mail-in solution? What are people saying about it all?
There's been less talk about that recently, but, Heather, as recently as yesterday, I spoke with a man in Labrador who couldn't get to vote because the ballot went to the wrong community and it got sent back, returned to sender to NL elections. And he said, it's the first time in my life I haven't been able to vote. So there were a lot of issues with the mail-out ballots and then mailing them back in as well. People were expecting ballots to show up in the mail and not realizing they had to apply, having trouble getting through on the phone lines, computer crashes, difficulties with getting the ballots. So one of the things we'll be all looking at here is going to be the voter turnout. It's not a system that people understood very well. There were multiple extensions to the deadline. So today is the deadline, but it's not the deadline, Heather, to have your ballot postmarked. Today is the deadline to have your ballot in. And if it's not received today by 4 p.m. at Elections NL, your ballot won't be counted.
Really? Well, we'll have to watch how many, and I don't know if they'll be tallying that up too, Chris, how many do not make it in time, how many are spoiled as a result. Lots of stories yet to watch coming out of Newfoundland and Labrador. Chris, thank you very much for all of that this morning.